Yo, welcome to episode 5 of the Rants. If you're new here, my name is Seymour, and this is my podcast where I talk about random things from productivity, self development, and basketball. And I'm here today to talk about how we can learn and pick up new skills faster. Today's topic is about how we can trick ourselves to learn or pick up new skills at a fast rate. It's always hard for each and every one of us to learn or start a new skill. When we start learning and trying to master this skill, the first part of the process, of the learning process, is the hardest part. Actually, it's when those words come out of your mouth. You're saying that you want to give up. This is too hard, and that you thought that this would be easier. You had that hunger and thirst of mastering that skill, but you don't typically look at the learning process that will help you to have the skill that you want to acquire. Once we try to start learning this specific skill, we tend to give up and say the things that I said. It was like, I thought it would be easier. Why is this so hard? I'm gonna give up. And I've been there. I know everyone has been in that situation where you want to start learning a new skill, but you suddenly lose the fire and hunger. We should be dedicated to what we started and be a man of your word, I guess. And now you may be asking, how can we have dedication? Well, we need to have the motivation to actually start learning the skill. If you want to master a skill, you would need dedication. Without dedication, there's no point of mastering the skill. You need to be committed, you need to be dedicated in mastering the skill. And if you just try it once and you don't do it ever again, you're not gonna master the skill. It just doesn't make sense to try to master a skill without doing it every day or doing it with practice. So you need to do it with dedication in order to master the skill. You need commitment. That's one of the things that you need to learn. To have dedication, we also need motivation to actually start learning the skill. One method is picturing yourselves. So you know how when you look at yourself, you're starting off rocky. At this stage of the learning process is where you're doing nothing. You're here trying to learn this and all that from instructions, from YouTube videos and all that. And yeah, you're here sitting down. You need to picture yourself as a person who has already mastered the skill, and you would need to look at the future. And that's gonna be your motivation to actually learn and try to learn the skill. Because once you see yourself master the skill, once you picture yourself you master the skill, you're gonna have this motivation. You actually want to master the skill. You actually want to practice the skill so that you can be this cool, I guess, looking person who knows how to master the skill. And the second method would be knowing that this part of the learning curve is not an everlasting thing. Okay, we need to understand that whenever we're learning something, the first part of the learning process is not everlasting, meaning that it's not gonna be forever. It's not gonna take you forever. The learning process, the baby steps basically, or the first practice that you do, or first trial, if you would call it, is not it's not gonna take a long time. Okay, it's gonna be part of the learning process. Of course, you need to know the basics of the skill that you're doing. And it's not gonna take, it's the most important part of the process, of the learning process, and it's not gonna take forever. You're not gonna stay there. You're not gonna be stuck inside the learning curve for a very long time. You're gonna get out of there somehow after learning all the things that you need to know. We should know that this is part of the learning process, and without doing the baby steps first, we wouldn't be able to run. So yeah, I'm just teaching you guys how to be motivated and dedicated to a skill and how to start learning a skill. So this is basically a 2-for-1 video. I'm giving you an extra prize, I guess. This podcast should be about how we can learn skills faster. But I added this part because I think it's gonna help a lot of people when they want to start a skill and they wanna be dedicated, committed, and have motivation. Now let's talk about how we can learn new things at a fast rate, new skills at a fast rate. I have this example. When I was a kid, I saw most of my cousins that knew how to solve Rubik's Cube. They were able to solve it, and yeah, I was kind of jealous, It's like when you see someone doing this cool thing and everybody gets attracted, you would want to do it too, because you want to show off, do all these tricks and all that. So yeah, that gave me like the hunger and thirst. That's what I talked about before. You have this hunger and thirst to acquire the skill, but yeah. But when I was a kid, I didn't have the motivation. I lacked the motivation and the dedication, cause I didn't have any Rubik's cubes, and I know that it's gonna be hard. I was like, yo, I know it's gonna be hard. What's the point of doing it? And my dad was scaring me too. He was like, you need to know like math and all that. And I was not really good at math when I was a kid, but yeah, that's why I didn't have the motivation or the dedication. And fast forward a couple of years, I grew up in Canada. Then saw a Rubik's cube when I was when I was in the supermarket, and I bought it, took it home, and yeah, who wouldn't scramble it? I scrambled it. It was like it's so tempting to scramble a Rubik's cube, and I had that fire and passion that I had like before. So it was the same fire and passion compared to the one that I had when I was a kid. And knowing that I had a lot of resources to follow, like the internet and many videos, it gave me this feeling or boost, or as Johnny Harris named this feeling, a speed boost. I took a lot of time out of my days watching how-to tutorials on YouTube and did what I could just to learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube. I absorbed all of the things I came across throughout the internet with the goal of knowing how to solve a Rubik's Cube. So I absorbed every single thing during the speed boost, this stage, I guess, that you would call it the learning process. I always like I would take like 8 hours per day learning how to solve a Rubik's Cube. Keep in mind that this was in a summer break, and it was fun because I was learning something, and it was like I was learning something at a really fast rate than I've ever learned before, because I'm intrigued, I'm excited, and I really want to solve a Rubik's Cube. I really want to know how to solve a Rubik's Cube. Okay, let's just summarize what speed boosts are. This stage is the part of the learning process that enables a person to learn something much faster compared to just normal learning. So the speed boost is basically this adrenaline rush, I guess, this serotonin or dopamine that boosts us, or like gives us this motivation to actually do something. And it doesn't just allow us to learn stuff, it actually allows us to learn a method or a skill at a really quick rate. So I was absorbing YouTube videos, I was applying them, and I was able to, piece by piece, learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube. And that was a speed boost. The speed boost was the part where I just started absorbing and watching, sometimes even reading how to solve a Rubik's Cube. I've always wanted to, and yeah, eventually, step by step, I solved it. And that's the speed boost. That's the speed boost of the learning process. You would start to absorb things, and you would start to learn things at a really quick rate. But this hunger and fire will eventually die out. As weeks go by, the hunger to master the skill dies out. We can't keep it forever. It's one of those things that are impossible, I guess, to keep the speed boost out. We're gonna eventually die down. The amount of speed boost that we have, the stage of our learning process, is eventually gonna stop. Not everything is permanent, and the speed boost is not a thing in the learning process that's permanent. And now it is not that easy to maintain this phase in which we are able to learn stuff at a quicker rate than usual. So after the speed boost comes this other phase, which I call the growing stage of the learning process. Okay, so the growing stage is this stage that adds to the work or improves the work of the speed boost. So you know how I knew how to solve a Rubik's Cube. So the speed boost was when I was learning how to solve a Rubik's Cube through YouTube tutorials and absorbing all of these things, and I was able to solve a Rubik's Cube. Well, the growing stage is an example for the growing stage would be me memorizing how to solve a Rubik's Cube. I would be memorizing algorithms, I would be memorizing the right twists and turns, and that's part of the progressive stage or the growing stage, where we start to add on to what we already have done during the speed boost stage. What I mean by The growing stage is that this stage enables a person to progress in small increments and add on to the things that they already learned during the speed boost stage. So I already explained this. So basically, if we were to picture this and use the baby steps terminology, the baby steps is the speed boost. We start wanting when we were kids. We wanted to walk, and we started learning how to walk, and that's the speed boost. And the growing stage is walking. We start adding on to what we know in the baby steps. So like small steps, then we eventually add more steps, which is the growing stage. And yeah, if we go back to the Rubik's Cube example, like what I said before, algorithms and turns, like I memorized all of that and I added to what I have learned during the speed boost stage, where I absorbed all those videos and all that. And I worked on my mistakes and restarted whenever I felt like I wasn't doing something right. I started to learn new algorithms and steps to solve a Rubik's Cube. So basically, the speed boost stage is not gone forever, but the speed boost stage appears during the progressive stage. So when you're in the growing stage or the progressive stage, you eventually start to like learn more, or like you add more stuff to what you already know, giving you a little bit of speed boosts along the way of learning. The speed boost stage is not gone forever, but the speed boost stage appears during the progressive stage, when you start to change things up or add new methods when mastering a skill. Small spans of speed boosts, which can allow you to learn sub skills. So like when you have speed boosts, you're able to learn sub skills, or like smaller skills that will help you to reach the main skill that you're trying to master. To do all these things, to have the motivation or to have the speed boosts again, we have these two fundamental methods. So the first method that we should use to learn at a quicker rate or to have speed boosts along the way of our growing stage is consistency. As I explained before, we should be continuing to improve what we learned from the speed boost stage and learn small bits of sub skills to eventually learn the main skill. Consistency always comes with discipline, and we should always take the steps that will enable us to become a master of a certain skill. So yes, we can't just like stay there. We can't just sit there and do the same thing over and over and over again, and what makes us feel comfortable. We actually need to do something. We need to do a harder task, not a harder task, but like a harder challenge for us, so that we're able to work on our skill and get some speed boosts along the way. And doing the same thing over and over again, or staying in your comfort zone, will not get you anywhere. Again, never settle for less. Some people always do the easy stuff rather than like doing harder stuff that will allow you to grow when you're learning a skill. They're just doing these stuff that they learned in the speed boost during speed boost page stage, and they just keep on doing that, and they're not gonna grow. They're just gonna stay there. That's why I'm saying never settle for less. And we should always have discipline. And so it doesn't matter what the amounts of time you put in to work on a skill, rather than the quality of the work you put in when learning the new skill is important. So I don't know if you understood that, but what I meant by that is that when you're learning a new skill, it doesn't matter how much time you practice this new skill. You need to have a good quality of practice when you're learning a new skill. You can just sit there and play the same things over and over again without adding on to what you've already learned, and you're just sitting there staying constant. And you're just, not constant, but what I mean by this is that it doesn't matter how many hours it took for you just to master the skill, or how many times, or how many times you took to master the skill. It's the quality, it's the time, it's the quality of your practices. So if you were to just practice, right? And some people can just sit there doing nothing, literally nothing, and just do the things that they already know, rather than adding to what they already know, or like rather than doing some other stuff that will enable them to grow. They would just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, but they still have a lot of hours. They did a lot of hours of practice, but the quality of practice is very low. So we need to look at the quality, So we should have we should start to learn more, or add more, or improve to what we already know from the speed boost stage in order to have a great quality of work. So when learning a new skill, which is the most important thing, it doesn't matter. So in other words, it's quality over quantity. That's what I'm trying to say. The second method to learning skills at a very quick rate is copying. Yeah, you heard me right. I said copying. Yeah, copying is one of the sensitive topics. But okay, when we are able to copy stuff from other people, we are able to take inspiration from that and add more. We can work on somebody's work, basically. We build on what's already been done. Innovation comes from inspiration. You can't master a skill without knowing how other people mastered it. You need to you wouldn't know how to do it your way, rather without knowing how other people did it in their own way. You know what I mean? Once you innovate and make new ideas that come from the inspiration, you're able to add on to the progress that you had during the speed boost, which will not only help you learn the skill at a quicker rate, but will also help you master the skill. So we need to be inspired by other people. We're not technically copying them, we're getting inspired from them. And we need to add on to the things that they did and try to make it our own style. So innovation. And yeah, dang. That was a lot of psychology talk. Why did I reach 20 minutes? Wait, never mind. You guys won't see 20 minutes because I think I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna cut stuff because I started along the way. But yeah, that was a lot of productivity and self-development talk. At a time like this, I'm saying this again, we need to work on ourselves. We need to at least master new skills along the way. New skills along the way. And we should start to learn and improve ourselves every day. So yeah, today's been an okay day. I guess the mood is kind of off. But it was fun making the script. The research went to it. It's nice. There's not really much psychology on it, but I guess it's a really good use of time, rather than just sitting on the couch and watching TV or like playing games. I like making podcasts. I like talking to a mic, and yeah. Oh yeah, and I also have this. I'm gonna have this other series other than the rants. The rant is still gonna continue. It's not gonna end. There's gonna be this series called the Psychology Talks. And I'm gonna add these series to one of the like playlists, I guess. But yeah, I'm gonna start making this new podcast series called the Psychology Talks, and this is where I talk about psychology and how the brain works and why we behave this way and why we have dreams, why we have nightmares, and all that fun stuff that's very weird when we're like regarding the brain. And yeah, that's the same thing. So basically procrastination, that's one of the things that are in the how can I say this, in the spectrum of psychology. And I took good interest in why people procrastinate, and with the research that I had, I was inspired to make a new series called Psychology Talks. And don't worry, we're not gonna end the rants. We're still gonna be talking about basketball, productivity, and self-development. But yeah, we're gonna have a separate series called the Psychology Talks, and I might release that on a Wednesday, Thursday, but I'm not giving myself a due date. I don't want to stress myself out. But yeah, that's basically my podcast. I talked about how we can learn new skills at a fast rate by having what did I say? Wait, hold on. We should have consistency, and we should continue to improve on what we've already learned in the speed boost stage. And we should also copy and inspire and innovate from what we see from other people. And yeah, I also talked about the stages of the learning process. The speed boost, which is where you absorb all of these things just to learn a topic, and the progressive stage, or the growing stage, where we start adding and improving to what we've already learned during the speed boost stage. So yeah, basically that's my podcast. This episode 5 of the rants. I'll see you guys in episode 6. Peace.